Hey guys, today we're going to cover how I plan to trade a new weekly bias on the CAD Yen and the NZD USD, and moreover how I view the current weekly bias on the dollar CAD. Okay, so let's start with the CAD Yen. Okay, this is a weekly chart. Let me run you by the current setup I was looking at. So the last weekly short trade that form was right here, and the last weekly long trade that form was right here. And the initial analysis was stating that this bias was long. And so there was a nice move all the way up to these levels right here, just shy of that top risk parameter right here. However, yesterday, right at these levels right here, there was 1 hour lower confirmation actually confirming this bias to be short. So in other words, price is likely to reach this pivot low before reaching this pivot high. So all things remaining equal, I'm willing to take an aggressive short entry for this setup. All right, so first let me show you this lower confirmation that formed right here. Let's go over to the 1 hour chart. Okay, so on this 1 hour chart, yesterday right at this level right here was a breakout, an immediate break back in. However, price came down to that pivot low to create strong short strength and confirm that weekly bias to be short for the moment. Okay, and I'm willing to take an aggressive short entry for this setup. So if I could get further confirmation of strong short strength on the 15-minute and 5-minute chart through a breakout, an immediate break back in, however, price coming down to its pivot low, I'll be willing to take a short entry with a stop loss at the pivot high where this hypothetical strong short strength formed and its main target way below on that weekly bias's pivot low. All right, but first let me show you this lower confirmation trend line. Let's go ahead and zoom out. Okay, so that trend line is from this pivot to this pivot right here, and that strong short strength formed at this level right here. Okay, and I'll keep you guys updated with this setup. Let's go on to the NZD USD pair. Okay, and if you're having trouble understanding what I'm talking about in terms of biases and lower confirmations, check out my analysis manual. Okay, and the link for that is in the details section of this video. Okay, this is a weekly chart. Let me run you by the current setup I was looking at. So the last weekly long trade that form was right here. And initially the last weekly short trade that form was right here. And more of this weekly bias was confirmed to be long. Or in other words, price was likely to reach this pivot high before reaching this pivot low. And then moreover, if you recall, I took an aggressive long entry roughly at these levels right here with the stop loss right below around here. However, I took out the entire position roughly at these levels right here due to the possibility of this long bias being reversed into short. And right at these levels right here, there was lower confirmation actually confirming this bias to be short. Okay, so at this point, this weekly bias actually reversed back to short. However, last week, right at this level right here, there was a new weekly short trade that formed. Okay, so you want to remember that in a bias, if a new trade forms, that bias is reset. Okay, so we have to start looking for new lower confirmations. All right, so at the current moment, this weekly bias was reset back to neutral. But let me go ahead and show you what I'm looking at in terms of lower confirmations for this new bias. Let's go over to the 1 hour chart. Okay, so on this 1 hour chart, at the current moment, the only confirmation possible is this trend line right here. So the price could come up to this trend line, break it out, immediately break back in. However, price could reach that pivot high. That'll create strong long strength and again confirm this bias to be long. Okay, and moreover, I'm willing to take an aggressive entry on this setup also. And I'll keep you guys updated with this one. Okay, so let's go on to the dollar CAD. All right, this is a weekly chart. Let me run you by the current setup I was looking at. So the last weekly short trade that form was right here. And initially the last weekly long trade that form was right here. And if you recall, this bias was initially confirmed to be long, or in other words, price is likely to reach this pivot high before reaching this pivot low. And so I took an aggressive long entry right at these levels right here. And although we did get this nice move all the way up these levels right here, just shy of the main target right here. However, current price overrided this aggressive long entry. And so I aborted this long trade roughly at these levels right here. And I was mentioning at this point, since there was an override of aggressive long entry, at this point, this bias is reversed to be short. Or in other words, price is likely to reach this pivot low before reaching this pivot high right here. Okay, so for the last couple of weeks, we got this nice fall all the way down to these levels, just shy of that main target right here. However, again, a new weekly long trade formed at this level right here. Now, since this exact setup with this type of current price override, followed by a new trade on the same weekly bias, has never happened before at this point, I will not be trading this bias at this point. So until one of these targets are reached, I will not be trading this pair. Okay, and I'll keep you guys updated when a new bias forms. Okay, so today let me talk about the nature of markets. Okay, so like I always say, markets are a living, breathing entity. So it's just like you and I, and its daily patterns are never exactly the same. However, that said, 70% of the year, just like you and I, the daily patterns or movements are similar at its core. And that's why our strategies created with past price are usable in the markets. Okay, but the rest of the 30% of the year, markets move in completely new ways that have never been seen before. Just like how you and I at times move in completely new patterns, right? Now the new bias movement on the dollar CAD that I just showed you is a great example of markets moving in completely new ways. And you want to remember, these are the times that we want to sit on the sidelines and just absorb this new content and add it to our library of new market movements, so the next time it happens, the situation is no longer new and thus tradable. Okay, and I know it could be hard just to sit on the sidelines where markets move, but you always want to remember, trading is about consistently making your strategy better, and at the initial phase of trading, it's not about making money. Okay, so that's it for this weekly analysis. I hope you guys have a great week, guys. Thanks for watching. Okay, bye.